Good morning, Scott here, known as Cantaloupe to some online, and I'm bringing another video to you on a subject that's interesting to me. It might be of interest to you or someone you know. And in this video, I want to talk about anthropomorphization in the context of carnivorism. That's meat eating. Anthropomorphization. That's giving animals or inanimate objects a human personality. If you're familiar with the device, it's sometimes used in poetry or literature. I'll say it a third time. Anthropomorphizing. Anthropo as in anthropology. You've heard this root word before. It means to pertaining to human beings. So to anthropomorphize something, it's a big word, but it means to give the characteristics of a person to something that isn't a person, like an animal or an object or whatever. And it's a famous thing. Anyway, I want to talk about that in connection with eating meat, because there is a connection. And it turns out that people, as humans, sometimes have a very difficult time separating the reality or the perspectives of, animals, for example, or other people even, from their own experiences, their own sphere and their own point of view, which is understandable. It's understandable and it's forgivable that a person can't be omniscient, a person can't see things from every perspective, and they shouldn't be expected to. However, there's a consequence here. The consequence when it comes to meat eating is that people sometimes look at animals as people, right? Well, that's a bit of a stretch sometimes. And first of all, I want to qualify my own position here as a former vegetarian. I was a vegetarian for years. I tried very hard to avoid all meat, and it becomes expensive, and it also, in my experience, I'll speak for myself, it harmed my body. I was not getting the right nutrients, I was not getting enough protein, and yes, you can get a good diet and be a vegetarian or a vegan, but it tends to be on the expensive side, if we're being honest. Yes, it does. You have to buy things to supplement your diet. You have to buy vegetable-based meat products, or maybe not. Maybe you have mushrooms and beans. You have plenty of protein sources, but they get a little tedious, in my experience. They get very tedious, and this is kind of was the breaking point for my diet. I realized that not only was my health suffering, but I believe humans are omnivorous for a reason. It's proven fact. We can eat meat and still maintain our health. We can eat vegetables or meat. That's what it means to be omnivorous. Versus herbivores, which only eat vegetables, or carnivores, which must have, like lions and bears and tigers. Lions, tigers, and bears have to eat meat. They're carnivores, but human beings can eat pretty much anything. We evolved as scavengers. I believe there's a lot of evidence to support the idea that humans largely evolved as scavengers. We're told hunters and gatherers because that sounds better. We were hunters. Yeah, not so much. We picked up the carrion that was left over when it just died off or was killed by other predators. So anyway, long story short, I think that animals might surprise you. My point here is that animals might surprise you if you were to, make a deal with them. If you had an opportunity to communicate with them and, say, offer them sanctuary on a farm in exchange for, a long life, a healthy, happy life, a comfortable life on a farm, and a quick and humane death. I think that they might surprise you. They might actually agree to this if they were able to, but the sad fact is most animals don't have the wherewithal to agree to things at all, so I think that they would if they could. And besides that, humans have characteristics, like I said, that show that we require meat and that we have developed and evolved on a meat-subsidized diet, if not largely meat itself, if not based on meat itself. So I know there's a lot of concern about ethics. There's a lot of concern about karma and what's proper and fair treatment. And I want to remind people that some of this is tainted by anthropomorphization. Again, yeah, we're looking at animals as people, and they're not. We're not all equal. We're not all the exact same creature. I'm better than an amoeba, for example. You want to say that I'm no better than an amoeba? I'll fight you about it. Seriously, I'm better than an amoeba. I'm better than a lot of things. I'm better than some people at some things. I'm not, more deserving of justice. I'm not more deserving of fairness or opportunity. Absolutely not. We're equals when it comes to opportunity, including animals. However, when it comes to performance, when it comes to efficacy, when it comes to being dynamic And yes, a little intelligence weighs into this a little bit, being considerate of circumstances, being able to plan, to affect change. I am very, very much better than most farm animals. I assure you, and I will pass that test. You want to give me a fair test, and I will pass it. Which entitles me to make decisions. If it's me or them, I choose me, and you're just going to have to accept that. If it's me or them, I choose me. And the sad fact is I just can't afford to be a vegetarian right now. Not comfortably, not without damaging my body. So I do avoid meat. Last point I'll make about meat eating. I do avoid it when possible. I think that there's a happy medium, right? It's not all or nothing. It's not either, an orgy of meat consumption or nothing at all. It doesn't have to be extreme. It can just be moderation, right? You've heard the word moderation. You can choose to eat less meat. You can choose to avoid certain kinds of meat. I happen to think that beef is a very karmically charged meat. If you can avoid beef, that might be a big plus for you right off the bat, just avoiding beef in general. My rule of thumb is if I can't easily dispatch that animal by myself, if I'm not willing or able to, that is, wrestle a steer to the ground and kill it and eat it myself, I probably shouldn't be paying some organized, technologically advanced infrastructure to do it for me, because that's bad luck. That is very bad luck. So on the same token, large pigs, I probably would have a tough time wrestling to death and then eating on my own. So I try to limit my intake of pork as well, and beef. I love the flavor of steak. I love the flavor of hamburgers, but I don't eat them every day. I don't eat them even once a month, because I think that there is something to it. I think that there's very much something karmically to eating a lot of meat and eating certain kinds of meat, and it doesn't have to be all or nothing. You can probably get by with just fish or chicken, and God bless you if you're trying to be conscious, if you're respectful of the animals, and if you're opting for humane treatment, humane raising and killing of the animals when necessary. And remembering that every living thing has a purpose, right? Whether or not its end game is to feed you, while it was alive, it had another purpose. And something to think about, just like you. Reach out if you like with questions or comments to whitehotrobot@gmail.com. Thank you.